तुमच्या एकदम अत्यंत मार्मिक विवेचनाबद्दल सर्वप्रथम आभार. नाही खरोखर आणि मी माझं PPT प्रेझेंटेशन सुरुवात केल्यानंतर तुम्हाला कळेल मी असं का म्हणतोय. म्हणजे एखाद्या गोष्टीची प्रस्तावना कळत न कळत पण की समर्पकपणे व्हावी त्याचं तुम्हाला प्रत्यय येईल. म्हणून थँक्यू सो मच. श्री भरत अग्रवाल, डॉक्टर करकरे, श्री गगनदीप सिंग, VIIT ची सर्व प्राध्यापक मंडळी, students present here, participants to this conference, ladies and gentlemen. When I was asked to come here today, I immediately said yes. And the reason for that was a bit of familiarity with this institution that came about when I met, of course, my friend Professor Anil Gupta of TIFR had talked to me about, well, it was more in the context of institute industry, institute collaboration. And then later when I met Professor Gadre, along with Sunil Gupta at UT, and saw, in fact I met some of the students also who were there at UT. And I realized some very good work that's happening at the level of undergraduate students. And this particular student conference where the students at undergraduate level present their papers, and so I felt there are some elements of some wonderful thing happening here, and that's the reason I am here today. So when it came to figuring out what to speak, normally in inauguration session of a conference, I tend to speak for 5-10 minutes and leave it at that. But I am going to speak for full 45 or maybe even longer today. And it's again primarily with the same thought which I just narrated. So quite unlike an inaugural address, I'm going to make a PowerPoint presentation. So let's get started. I want to speak on research as drivers of national development, and I want to, research for research's sake is in itself very important. That widens, broadens the frontiers of knowledge, and that's how all of us have reached here. No, it doesn't matter, because the others won't be able to see. I'll turn back and see, don't worry, because so, but then research is also an important element of national development, and particularly in today's competitive world. See, how does the economy grow? Economy grows because somebody makes something and sells it somewhere else. those who make more things to sell than things they buy, they become richer. And those who buy more things and make less things become poorer. That's a simple way of looking at it. So, obviously, those who have better technology so that you can make products which can be sold better, they win this competition. And so if India has to, we talk about India being seen as a superpower. You don't become superpower by, as Dr. Dalve said, just by making a slogan. You become superpower by demonstrating or implementing your strength and becoming the true superpower. And that means you must be able to win this race in the competitive world through your technological advancements, and that requires research. So I'm going to essentially talk about what are the areas that we need to focus on, what are the key ingredients so that whatever research we do has a larger impact, has the larger benefit. And what do we do in the urban context? What do we do in the rural context? And it is some of these issues which I'm going to put forward before you. Can I have the next one? Next slide. Now, well, it's clear that if you are talking about doing research for national development, so we need to first recognize where we are as a country, where we are as a nation in technological sense. And so a snapshot of our country from this perspective, if you take, it would reveal for you that we are a fast-growing economy, one of the largest markets. So I think we see a lot of traffic, lot of foreigners, lot of foreign companies coming here. It's all because we see all world leaders descending in Delhi, much more than earlier. Not because they have great love for India, it's because India is a huge market and they want to sell their products. Very high population density, another distinguishing feature. Largest aspiring youth force. Now these are all so-called plus points. The minus points are, for example, a country with very fast growing disparities. Economically we are progressing, but the disparities are also growing, and disparities in all kinds. Income disparities, education disparities, in terms of economic opportunities, and so on and so forth. Can you put that here? After the issues regarding disparity, then we also have problem about the resources. A country which was supposed to be the so-called Sone ki Chidiya, today it is a kind of seen in per capita terms, a resource poor country. And this is true in terms of all resources, but also some of the critical resources like water, food, energy. Another issue that we need to be concerned about is heavy public health management burden. And why is that? I think simply because of, by and large, very poor sanitation, degraded water and air quality, and unaffordable tertiary health care. In fact, India is a country which is a tourist destination, or health tourism is flourishing. People from even advanced countries come here for treatment because it's supposed to be cheaper compared to what they get, but it's equally good. Not accessible for people, poor people from villages. It takes them so much of effort, so much of money. And in the villages, you don't get these services. You look at the health parameters, particularly those parameters on which countries are compared, and you will find India at the bottom of the list. So there is something which is not right. And if you have to correct that, I think particularly the young people in this room, they have to worry about it. They have to work hard, do the research and find solutions to these problems. Now, this is the general scene. 2/3 of our country lives in villages. What's the situation in villages? The per capita income in villages. India, of course, is a poor country, but villages are even poorer. Per capita income in villages is much lower. I think 1/3 of the urban income. The land holdings are becoming progressively smaller, so agriculture is not as remunerative as it was earlier. The soil qualities are degrading, so the productivity is coming down. Coming to urban India, again you have problems, very highly stressed infrastructure. India has the distinction of fastest growing cities in the world. Indian cities are growing at pace faster than cities in other countries. And of course, migration, which is a universal thing, is taking place everywhere. Migration towards urban areas. It's also happening in India, but it is so rapid that the urban infrastructure is certainly not keeping pace with it and is unlikely to keep pace with this rapid migration. Now, I had no intention of painting a negative picture, but the intention is, since we are talking about looking at research as a driver of national development, we need to also be concerned about what areas of research we should focus on in the context of national development. And I thought this snapshot will tell you what is it that we need to really focus on, because otherwise we can do research on a variety of things. You think about an idea and there are elements of research, and which is good. But research should be done in areas where at the end of the day or at the end of your life, you must get that satisfaction that you have done something important. Something important for the largest possible number of people, of your city, of your state, of your country, or maybe world as a whole. But I think that impact should be large. So that's the area we should focus, and so it's important to take stock of things of this kind. There are, of course, many, if you want to solve problems of agriculture, you must do research in agriculture. You want to solve the problem of communication, you must do research in information communication technology. You want to solve problems of transportation, you must do research. So there are many areas, and there are many you have number of departments, number of industry, they are all contributing. You have plan after plan, development activities chalked out. A lot of things are happening, and certainly a lot of progress has happened. But if you have to identify which is an area where you would be able to make the maximum impact on largest number of areas and for largest number of people, then I'm sure you will agree with me that you must empower our young people through education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. That's the key. And there must be that capability built on part of our young people to be able to do so. And then, of course, everybody would have some area of specialization in which to work, and then you make that impact. But while you do so, keep this big picture in the view. It doesn't move. Now, let's look at some challenges. We want to address this big picture to be also aware of under what conditions we need to implement that big picture. There are many countries which have huge resources. United States, Canada, Russia, Australia. Compared to their population, the natural resource endowment of these countries is huge. So obviously, these countries will never become poor, at least for next 100, 200 years, because they have so much of resource. We also had that situation at some time, long time back in history. Today, if you look at our resources, and particularly if you look at our resources in per capita terms, we are actually a resource poor country. We are roughly 1/6 or little more than 1/6 of the world population. So, if you think in equitable terms, we should have all resources which are at least equal to or better than 1/6 of the world resources. That is not the case. And so you want to carry out development, you will have to do it on resources got from outside, value add on those resources, and create economic growth. So actually it really means you can make progress on the basis of value addition, or stated differently, you can make progress on the basis of technology, or even stated differently, you can make progress on the basis of knowledge inputs, because technology means knowledge inputs. And that certainly we can do, because we are a large population and we have a huge demographic dividend in terms of our youth. And so if you again, coming back to the same old point, if these youth are educated, these youth know how to do research, how to contribute to growth in knowledge, how to contribute to translation of that knowledge to technology, then of course we are sitting on a huge resource, a resource the whole world should be envious of us. And that's what really we should focus on, and that's where research becomes important. Now, what kind of technology we are looking for? I gave example of the medical tourism. You could have equipment, large equipment costing several crores or tens of crores or even higher, and say that we are providing state-of-art service. But then not many people can afford it. Certainly poor people living in interior India cannot afford it. Does that mean that they should be deprived of high-tech technology, high-tech capability? Now, that certainly cannot be accepted. We have seen what's happened because of mobile. Communicating from one place to another, which was so difficult, so expensive at some stage, has become a child's play now because of mobile. Because of mobile, and because of the the capability that mobile has created in bringing people together, grouping people together, facilitating people to transact their own business together, you have